Hello and welcome to Race for the White House, our daily show where we get you the latest from the US elections. On today's show, we tell you all about the right-wing outrage over Kamala Harris's college resume, where she reportedly lied about working at McDonald's. Also on the show, we decode Donald Trump's flip-flop on recreational marijuana. All of this and much more, so let's get started. McDonald's is often known for being the first job of many American teenagers. For most kids, it's a humble way to earn some extra cash with a free Happy Meal and a McFlurry on lucky days. As a matter of fact, a new survey actually finds that 1 in 8 Americans have worked at the fast food chain at some point in their lives. Now, Democratic presidential candidate Kamala Harris is emphasizing her middle-class roots with her first job at McDonald's. McDonald's is often known for being the first job of many American teenagers. For most kids, it's a humble way to earn some extra cash with a free Happy Meal and a McFlurry to go on lucky days. As a matter of fact, a new survey says that 1 in 8 Americans have worked at the fast food chain at some point in their lives. Now, Democratic presidential candidate Kamala Harris is emphasizing her middle-class roots with her first job at McDonald's. For years now, Harris has claimed that she once worked at McDonald's while at college. As the 2024 presidential campaign gains momentum, her campaign has increasingly highlighted this alleged chapter in her life as an indication of her working-class roots. It has become a noteworthy part of her political narrative in her attempt to connect with working-class voters. Her presidential campaign even released a video in which she claimed to have served fries and burgers at McDonald's.
She grew up in a middle-class home. She was the daughter of a working mom, and she worked at McDonald's while she got her degree.
Now, many news outlets have reported this story relying on Harris's testimony alone as evidence. However, not everyone on the internet believes Harris. Many conservatives are claiming that there are no records or credible sources indicating that she ever worked at McDonald's. It is possible that Harris did indeed work at McDonald's in the early 1980s. But the absence of that detail in public records and her campaign's resistance to provide any further details raises questions about what is now a foundational narrative of her campaign. The job even goes unmentioned in both of her memoirs, published in 2010 and 2019. Critics also cite the fact that Harris did not mention her time at McDonald's on the resume that she submitted a year after graduating from college. In this application, she was asked to include every position she had worked in over the last 10 years. However, others have countered that it wouldn't make sense to reference fast food work in a job application for the district attorney's office. Now, Republicans are running a wild campaign against Harris. Supporters of the Republican Party are accusing Harris of lying about her job and terming it stolen valor. Even Donald Trump posted on his social media platform Truth Social, saying that Kamala Harris never worked at McDonald's. Now, issues like these will be at the center stage as both Trump and Harris are leaving no stones unturned to dismiss each other in the run-up to the polls. But the Democratic Party's idea of using Harris's gig at McDonald's as a way to distinguish her from an elitist Trump has backfired somewhat. Moving on, Democrats are targeting Donald Trump again. And this time, it's because of his flip-flop on different policy issues, including marijuana reform. So what has Trump said this time? Well, he's now backing a measure that would legalize marijuana recreationally. Trump is calling to prohibit the use of marijuana in public spaces in his home state of Florida. And he didn't stop with this. He further said that someone should not be a criminal in Florida when marijuana is legal in so many other states. A case in point, marijuana is legal in some form or the other in around 40 American states. Trump also emphasized that there is no need to ruin lives and waste taxpayer dollars arresting individuals with small personal amounts of marijuana. Now, Democrats are attacking him as he has not had a consistent stand on the issue. If you look at it, his stance on this issue has varied from time to time. While he was in office, his department announced which department. While he was in office, his administration announced that it would remove an Obama-era policy that limited federal prosecutions for the sale of marijuana in states where it is legal. However, after a few months, Trump backtracked on that. Then again in 2018, he expressed support for a bipartisan bill to protect states' pro-marijuana laws. But then he went ahead and donated a part of his salary to pay for a promotional campaign highlighting the negative effects of marijuana use in 2019. Now the Harris camp is targeting Trump for his brazen flip-flop. Harris' campaign is framing Trump's support for the measure as another change in policy in a long line of flip-flops on this issue. Harris says that this is just another political stunt from Trump. Moving on to our next story, the Gen Z vote. This is a topic that pops up every election, but the narrative more or less remains the same. Experts are always skeptical about young voters' political engagement, and numbers are grim. According to a new survey, only 53% of 18 to 29-year-olds have voiced their desire to cast a vote in the November presidential election. This is in comparison to a historical voting average of nearly 70%. However, in the days following President Joe Biden's exit from the presidential race and his endorsement of Kamala Harris, younger voters have made their presence felt. As a matter of fact, Harris currently holds a commanding lead among young people. If you look at polls from Siena or YouGov, Harris commands about 50 to 60% of the youth vote, while Trump can pull in only about 34%. Now, many may think that Gen Z voters tend to lean more towards the liberal camp. But that's not exactly true. 21% of young voters identify as Republicans, and a notable 29% identify as independents. However, most political campaigns will tell you that while young voters are important, they're also unreliable. Young citizens' track records of participation in American politics is dismal. Although young people are the biggest group of citizens who are eligible to vote, they turn out at significantly lower rates than older Americans. For example, during the November 2022 midterm polls, only 52% of 18 to 29-year-olds came out to vote, compared to 63% of those aged 60 or older. While it's hard to know how many young people will cast a ballot in November this year, early indicators suggest that the pattern of low youth voter turnout will continue. So now the question is Gen Z politically apathetic? Gen Z voters are usually stereotyped as a politically apathetic generation, but they have become active when their beliefs are threatened. For example, when the United States Congress was working to get a bill passed to ban TikTok, young Americans came out in unison to protest against it. Young voters also use their digital fluency to accelerate their message on social media platforms. Their digital savvy and their ability to form communities through social issues makes them a crucial voter base. Young voters are also the driving force of pop culture. In other words, when playing on Gen Z turf, candidates are always one viral moment away from either success or crisis. A common assumption among political pundits is that more young people will come out to vote if voting was considered cooler, which is why candidates are running from pillar to post to get some celebrity endorsements behind them. For instance, Donald Trump brought out UFC owner Dana White and WWE superstar Hulk Hogan at the Republican National Convention. Meanwhile, Harris got an endorsement from TV personality Oprah Winfrey and pop star Pink at the Democratic National Convention. Harris and Trump have also increased their engagement with social media influencers. Both these parties are now working to capitalize the outsized role of the Gen Z vote. Whether young citizens will show up and deliver the presidency to Harris or stay home and yield to Trump remains to be seen. Now moving on, Donald Trump and Kamala Harris don't agree on much politically, but they do agree that Georgia is key to winning the race for the White House. Georgia is a state that highlights some of the obstacles both candidates face heading into the general election. This ranges from Trump's criminal indictments to an enthusiasm gap for the Democrats. As Harris and her vice presidential pick Tim Walz just concluded a two-day campaign in Georgia, some voters came forward with their expectations from the Democratic Party. Take a look at our next report.
Georgia, we got our work cut out for us. We've done it before, and we can do it again.
And this is my first presidential election, and I am beyond excited. I feel like there's a good chance I'm going to cry today because this is an extremely big moment. It's a big moment for America, but this day it's a big moment. I'm for Georgia, and specifically all the focus is on Georgia. I tell all my friends at school, Georgia will go blue again. It's coming! I think it's very important that they visited rural Georgia because first thing that comes to my mind is there are so many black voters here. So many people who need their voice to be heard, and they're not being actively actively encouraged to go to the polls. They need that encouragement. They need to be face to face with people in here. Vote, please, because this is very important to, our rights. So I think it's extremely monumental that they've come. I'm beyond excited, and they're here in Georgia.
The number one reason I support Kamala Harris is that she's intelligent enough to listen to her advisors, whereas Trump was so ignorant that General Mattis, Mad Dog Mattis, Chaos, Saint Mattis quit working for him. General Kelly quit working for him. And as a United States Marine, I'm not going to work for someone who disrespected General Mattis. Also, I don't have ovaries, so I don't think I should have any opinion on abortion or a woman's body, and neither should anybody else that doesn't have ovaries.
So when I was Attorney General, I went after price fixing schemes. And love you back. And we will move forward.
It's easy to go to the states that are easy. This is not an easy state, especially for the Democrats. And the fact that she's willing to take it on and come to a place like Savannah that's just about as good old boys club you're going to get. Anyone that lives here knows that. You know, it's 2024 and we need some fresh blood, and we need a new brighter future.
I'm going to vote, and that is my priority is voting. And to know that I live to see a black woman is awesome. I can't find words to express how I feel about that, but God is good.
And now time for some quick updates from the political landscape in America that you might have missed. A new Ipsos poll has found that Kamala Harris has edged out her Republican rival Donald Trump by a 4-point margin. Harris's approval rating currently stands at 50%, while Trump's rating is hovering at around 46%. Pollsters noted that the findings are similar and statistically unchanged from a poll in August. All eyes have been on the polling numbers following the last month's Democratic National Convention to see whether the vice president would experience a post-convention boost. Moving on, Kamala Harris is criticizing Donald Trump over the recent controversy involving his campaign at Arlington National Cemetery. Harris has said that the military burial site is not a place for politics. Harris also took aim at Trump in a post on social media, writing that he disrespected sacred ground, all for the sake of a political stunt. Previously, the US Army had stated that a Trump staffer had abruptly pushed aside a cemetery employee who was trying to warn his team about rules against filming in the cemetery. The Trump campaign has disputed the cemetery's version of events and said that it received permission from the families of the fallen soldiers to film the event. Finally, a former Miss Teen USA contestant has spoken out after JD Vance recirculated a video of her stumbling over her words on stage. Vance used the video to make fun of Kamala Harris, insinuating that she is not intelligent. Caitlin Upton was a contestant in 2007 and had an embarrassing moment on stage as she attempted to answer a seemingly straightforward question. JD Vance appeared on CNN and refused to apologize for tweeting the video clip. Many have termed Vance's act as online bullying. And just to wrap things up, Donald Trump is at it again after he shared a controversial post on his X account. In his post, Trump portrays a group of Muslim men putting the American flag on fire. The image is captioned, "Your neighborhood under Kamala Harris." This is not the first time Trump has posted a controversial and contentious post in the run-up to the November polls. Last month, Trump posted a similar picture showing a congested lane in New York with migrants. The image is also captioned with, "Your neighborhood under Kamala Harris." Now, what does the President of the United States do to relax? Maybe go to the countryside with family, head to the zoo, or enjoy some peace by the beach. Well, President Biden's extended beach vacation, now into its second week, has caused frustration among Americans, especially as he continues to stay away from the Oval Office. Social media is buzzing with criticism about his lengthy time off, despite his earlier promises to remain engaged with his duties. Many are asking whether he's already handed over his duties to Kamala Harris. Take a look as we leave you with these visuals and reactions. Thank you for watching Race for the White House with me, Shashank Mattu. See you again tomorrow.